Rumours about Audi and Porsche joining F1 have been circulating for months now, but we have some fresh news for you about how the two Volkswagen-owned manufacturers will be joining the sport. Michael Andretti is still in the mix to bring in an F1 team as well. But surely all three of these can't be joining the sport. The F1 grid looks like it's going to get a big shake-up in the near future, so let's get you up to date on the likely comings and goings. The talk of an 11th team joining F1 has been ongoing for months now. Audi and Porsche are two names that have been spoken a lot during these discussions, but until now we haven't really had any details on how they would join the sport. Starting a brand new F1 team is incredibly expensive and complicated. Just ask Michael Andretti. But recent news means we can finally tell you how the two manufacturers will enter the sport in the near future. Before we do that though, let's get you up to date with Michael Andretti and Andretti Autosport, the third party currently looking to get into the sport. Michael Andretti and the Andretti Autosport team are a massive name in the world of motor racing. They currently compete in IndyCar, Formula E, Extreme E, and a number of other racing series. At the start of the year, they made it known that they wanted to join Formula 1 and bring in at least one American driver. As an American team with an American driver, they would be giving the growing American audience a team to support that was one of their own. The proposal sounded great and a really good way to engage with a growing audience. Unfortunately, not all of the F1 teams were convinced, and they have a say on whether a new team is allowed to join the grid or not. A few teams voiced worries about their financial backing and what they would bring to the sport. Michael Andretti responded to these worries with a very direct statement. The FIA is very open to us and we have fulfilled all the requirements, he insisted. Now, we are waiting for them to give us a number, what it costs to pay the teams to let us in. They always ask how we want to be competitive. I say, let that be our problem. You don't know our preparations. We don't have to hire any new people. We have absolutely experienced people who have the necessary knowledge. On the financial side, we have credible partners who are aware of the size of the project, Andretti added. We've been planning our program for a long time because it's all we want. We deserve more respect. The problem for Andretti is that, though this will likely improve the F1 image in the American market, F1 is looking for a whole globe impact. They want a new manufacturer to join the sport, not just a racing team. A name like Audi or Porsche, for example, which is known worldwide. A team that will bring interest from around the world, not just the American market. There was a period of time when it seemed like Audi might team up with Andretti to create a brand new team, but the German manufacturer has since indicated it will go a different direction, which we'll get to once we finish with Andretti. With Audi and Porsche out of the picture for now, Andretti was left looking for another manufacturer to join up with. Honda was the strongest option for a long time, a manufacturer with experience in Formula 1, with the facilities needed to produce an engine and car, and with some interest in returning to the sport. Before ex-managing director of F1 Musashi Yamamoto left to join Red Bull Powertrains, he is said to have suggested to Honda's CEO that if the company did decide to return to F1 in the future, it would need to do so as a works team, not just an engine manufacturer. There are also suggestions that F1 R&D work at Honda's Sakura base hasn't been switched off entirely, alongside its maintenance of the engines Red Bull and AlphaTauri are still using. Honda will have a close eye on the discussions about the 2026 technical rules, which will include a new engine. It is unlikely the Japanese company will want to join F1 on their own because of the huge financial gate to entry, and Andretti could be the perfect teammate to join with. This is a partnership that could develop as the 2026 regulations start to firm up, and if it goes ahead, we'll probably hear something during the 2024 season, so the team have plenty of time to design a brand new car. With Audi and Porsche not interested in teaming up with Andretti, where might they go instead? The Volkswagen Group CEO Herbert Diess has confirmed that both Audi and Porsche are actively pursuing an entryway into the sport with the full backing of VW. He did say that the brands didn't want to start a new team as it takes too much money and time to get competitive in the extremely technical sport. As Audi chairman Markus Duesmann always tells me, you usually make up 1 second per season on a medium-sized racetrack, simply by optimizing details, Diess said. But you can't catch up on that when you join a new team. You need 5 or 10 years to be among the front runners. In other words, you can only get on board if you have a major rule change. In 2026, the sport will have its next big change in car and engine regulations. The cars will be lighter weight, smaller and have reduced drag. The new power units will retain the current 1.6-litre V6 engines, increase the electrical output to 350 kilowatts, and eliminate the MGU-H component from the units. A new power unit cost cap will also come into effect in time for 2026 as well. This is the major rule change that Dees is referring to, as he explained. That's coming now, and it will come in the direction of 2026, when the engines will be electrified to a much greater extent, including with synthetic fuels, he said. That means you need a new engine development, and you need 3 or 4 years to develop a new engine. That means you can decide now to do Formula 1, or then probably not again for 10 years. And our 2 premium brands think that's the right thing to do and are prioritizing it. With neither Audi or Porsche planning on joining Andretti to form a new team, the only option available to them is to join a current outfit or take one over. Well, that's exactly what they're doing. Let's look at the Porsche plan and then we'll look at Audi, who have much bigger plans for their entry. Red Bull and Porsche look increasingly likely to partner up for Formula 1's new engine regulations in 2026, with Christian Horner admitting Volkswagen Group talks are logical. There are some pretty big indicators that this deal is going to be happening. First off, Red Bull's fuel and oil partner ExxonMobil is also a Porsche partner. Porsche and ExxonMobil even have a new plant in Chile where they're working on sustainable fuels. Remember, the F1 will be working with sustainable fuels in the 2026 season as well. You would be right to point out that Red Bull have just started their own powertrain division, so taking on a new engine manufacturer might not add that much to the team. But Christian Horner seems to think there would be enough of an advantage to having Porsche on board that it's worth sitting down to talk about. He said it would be natural to hold discussions with the VW group and said it would be very easy to adjust its plans to work with it. So what about Audi, another manufacturer that's part of the VW group? Well, like we said earlier, they aren't interested in being part of a brand new team. The cost of entry for a new team is astronomical and it would take far too long to get set up with facilities and a competitive car. Instead, recent reports have been linking them with a takeover of 2 different F1 teams. Both of these moves have merit, so let's take a dive into both. Audi have apparently agreed a deal with Sauber, racing under the Alfa Romeo name, to buy their team for the 2026 season. Apparently, this information comes from a team boss. Take that with a pinch of salt though, as there doesn't seem to be any proof as of now. I don't understand why Sauber and Audi are still hiding their collaboration, the source said. Audi secured 25% of the shares some time ago, and another 50% are to come. This is a really big sum of money. Apparently, Andretti actually had a deal done with Sauber, but they pulled the plug at the last minute, which means they might have found a better offer, which will definitely have come from Audi. With Audi not wanting to join the sport until 2026, it could be a while until this gets officially announced, and on the surface, Alfa Romeo are denying all links with the German manufacturer. Alfa Romeo's current team boss, Fred Vasseur, denied the link and actually pointed to another potential team. For me, Williams is the favourite. They have very good relations with VW and Germany. Honestly, at this point, it's going to be impossible to tie down the details of these deals 100%, but we can now be sure that Audi and Porsche will be joining the sport. The Porsche and Red Bull deal is apparently done, so hopefully we'll find out the details of that sooner rather than later. The Audi deal might take longer to formalise, as buying a team is a very different prospect to teaming up with an existing team as an engine manufacturer. When it does happen though, Audi will be a huge brand to join the sport with global reach and hopefully the capital to compete with the big teams. If you could see any car manufacturer join Formula 1, who would it be? Personally, if I could choose any, I would love to see Lotus racing in green again. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Until we see you next time, drive safe and bye bye.